Welcome back to Unlocking Our Code podcast. Today we begin a very important two-part conversation on domestic violence. This is not an easy topic, but it is a necessary one. Too many women, men, and families carry scars, both visible and invisible, from abusive relationships. And today we want to honor the voices of survivors, the impact on families, and the cost of staying silent or staying too long. In part 1 and part 2, my sister, Socorro, will be joining us to share her story. She entered an abusive relationship at the age of 14, and what followed was years of trauma, manipulation, and violence that eventually escalated to attempted murder. Along the way, she had 4 children who also experienced the ripple effects of that abuse. This is a story about survival, resilience, and the long-term cost of staying. Hi, Lou, and welcome, Coco.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a tough episode to talk about. I am gonna try my best on pulling this through as best as I can. It's gonna be a lot of emotions, a lot of memories, a lot of going back and remembering things that hurted me and hurted my children and my family. But I am happy I am here with you guys, sharing what happened to me, and I only do this to help women stand up for themselves, to lose fear, and to remind them that there's always a better tomorrow once you let go of something that can literally take your life.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Coco. We appreciate that. I mean, we know that this episode was going to be filled with emotions, and because it's in your family, because you guys lived it, because you guys are currently still living it. Even though it's the past, it's still very much something that, affected you guys' family for so long, affected you and your children. And so we knew it was going to be a tough one, and we tried to mentally prepare for the last week for it. But more than anything, we appreciate you're here. I am so proud of you, of everything you've gone through. You're just a total badass. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a beautiful episode. And, with that, we start with so much compassion, right? All the information that we share, it truly comes from all of our hearts with the best intentions to whoever receives the message. So with that, we want to open up on taking you back, right? You were in this relationship for 20 years, since the age of 14, right?
Correct.
Take us back. How did it begin? What did love or that relationship look like for you at the age of 14?
Well, being young, you think you're in love. I was only 14. I was attending high school when I meet, through some of my friends, an 18-year-old boy. That's 4 years apart from my age, and he's already doing adult things. I am doing probably even kids stuff at the time, I just seek for, I don't think I was looking for love. I was looking for attention, and probably fitting in with my friends at the time. This is totally why at 14 you should not even think of getting in a relationship to begin with, especially if that person is already 18 and over, because he is an adult. He's thinking different.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was thinking, I could see he was doing things that I wasn't at the time. So therefore, I thought it was love. And I thought it was love for myself, but I don't think it was love for him. It was probably a distraction, or I know it was a thing that he would do amongst his friends, because this person and my friends who were older at the time would just, have the habit of going around with young girls. And that was the first wrong step to this terrible journey or situation.
Yeah, and so many young people don't recognize the red flags, right? A lot of the youth, especially at that time when we were growing up, I mean, who prepared us for that, right? Like, no one really teaches you, hey, this is a red flag on a guy. We just kind of began dating, but with no tools, right? And especially at 14, I mean, what tools can we really have at 14, right? But not only don't we have tools ourselves because we're young, but there's nothing behind us. There's no foundation created by our caregivers that can follow us around, right? At that age and at the time we were growing up, right? What are some red flags that you can remember at that age? Like the first red flags that you seen that now looking back, you're like, oh my God, that was a red flag. I noticed that I missed at that time.
And I don't think I missed the red flags. Mm-hmm. I always had an eye on those red flags. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I didn't know any better. Mm-hmm. I just went along with what he was doing and what he wanted. I wanted to make him happy. It was about him. It wasn't about me. I thought that was love, and that was me showing love to him, that I was committed 100% to him. So he would buy me cigarettes. Mm-hmm. I would smoke with him. Mm-hmm. He was the one that showed me how to drive the very first time. And it wasn't even the good way. Mm-hmm. It was one day I was with him in the night, and he just sort of gave me the car and said, drive. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to drive. I was scared. But he just said, take the car and go. Mm-hmm. And so I did it. I would just do things that he would ask me to do. I mean, I don't think I knew any better. I was 14. He was 18. And he was 18 and hanging around with his friends who were much older than him, who were 20, 25. And so I just got, kind of dragged by that, and just wanted to kind of like fit in and do as he told me, and kind of look good around the crowd. And but I never missed the red flags.
Can you share a few? Maybe the top, I don't know, if you could remember two of them, I would say, at that time.
His violence started right away. Right away, within 2-3 months, he started being abusive. He would put hands on me since he was my boyfriend. Some of my friends got to see that he put hands on me. But I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was love. And even though I didn't want him to hurt me that way, I felt I loved him so much, and I wouldn't get away from that, because inside my head I would think he's gonna change. But the sad part is that a person who is abusive since the beginning will continue to be abusive all the way to the end. Most of the time it'll end the way my story ended.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. What do you think as a 14-year-old? Because I know that we're talking a lot about, like, what did you see as a 14-year-old? What did you see as red flags? And you're saying you never missed them. You would see them immediately, right? You knew what they were. You knew they were red flags. Like you said, at 14 years old, he was already giving you cigarettes to smoke. That's definitely a red flag, right? And then TV saying, well, we didn't know any better. This is what nobody taught us, you know? It definitely goes back, and I feel that I can relate to that, but I definitely do feel that it goes back to us looking for something that we didn't get at home, and feeling that we were definitely lacking self-love. We weren't taught to love ourselves as a child. We were probably lacking the emotional connection from our parents, from our family. We were lacking that, like you said, fitting in, because we're looking to fit in, and we're not doing that at home. And we're not learning about what the red flags are at 14 years old, is because no one's teaching us what the red flags were. Because for us, I feel that we missed that's the stuff that our parents did not teach us. It was kind of taboo. You don't talk about those things, or our parents were, I'll speak for myself at least, the type of, my mom was the type of person that just would just do and say whatever my dad did, and asked for and said. She just did whatever dad wants, whatever my husband wants, that's what we're going to do. So we kind of grow up learning that's kind of the way it is. That's the way it's supposed to be, you know? So it affects us in a 14-year-old mentality, that we're looking for something we're not getting at home, and we're taking any scraps of love, quote unquote, I'm going to say quote unquote love, that someone's giving us, because it comes with violence, it comes with abuse, it comes with them taking control of the entire situation, the entire relationship. But then they sprinkle these little pieces of shit, bits of love, quote unquote, or affection, or here and there, like, I love you, but you're so beautiful, I'm sorry I did that, I won't do it again, but it's because you make me so mad, and so stuff like that. And we just accept it, we take it, because that's what we feel we deserve. We don't feel we deserve any more than that. So I can definitely relate to that. And it is hard. It is hard when you see the red flags and you know this isn't right, but this person is saying they love me. So I don't hear that often. I don't get that often, you know, but this person is saying they love me. So I'm going to stick to this person because this is what love is, right? That's what we think it's supposed to be. I totally understand that. Yeah, that's hard. That's definitely one of the, one of the examples of what childhood would look like when there's absence of affection, absence of lack of connection, lack of emotional connection, lack of communication in the family between parents and their children. Or I feel that's this is exactly what it could look like. This is one huge example of what it could look like, falling into a relationship like this at a young age.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the beginning of a 20-year cycle of dysfunction, of violence, of abuse, of just so much pain, right? It's a cycle that you lived, a chapter in your life for 20 years. But it began, that's where the story began, right? So can you share a little bit about what happened in those 20 years? Like what kind of situations? You don't have to go into detail if you don't feel like it, but just give us a few examples of what you lived, what in those 20 years, and how it affected your younger self, at that time, and the effect it had not only on you, but the effect that it started rippling out, right, onto the family. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, in the beginning of my story with this person, it was very, very hard. I suffered tremendously because I started dating this person when I was 14. He was 18 at the time. I get pregnant at 16 and give birth to my first son a month before I turned 17. My son was born in July and I turned 17 in August. So I give birth to my son a month before my 17th birthday. And as you can imagine, I am still in high school. I have no job. I have a partner who is abusive and who became a drug addict at the time. I did not have the support from my mother.
Did your mom always know what was going on? Was she aware? Or do you feel like you never told her, but she kind of knew?
My mother knew about the whole situation. She did try it in her own ways to get me away from this person. I think as any parent that sees their children going the wrong way or taking the wrong steps in life, they try to guide you and tell you what's good and wrong. But in the most difficult times when I had my kids, as my first two children as babies, it was very hard for me because I had to stop going to high school. I started looking for work wherever I could. At the time, I remember at 17, I was working for my father's business, and I didn't have the help of the father of my children because he was out lost in drugs. So at 17 and a half, I get pregnant again for my second child. At 18, I give birth to my second son. I move out from living at my parents' home and renting an apartment at the time. I took all these steps loving this person because I loved this person, or so I thought it was love. I didn't acknowledge all the abuse, and that it was me moving forward the way I could, walking the way I could. And dragging my kids along with me. Because that's what a person does. Men or women who are staying in a toxic relationship, whether you're men or women, you are dragging your children along with you. They are hurting as much as you're hurting. Because if your child sees that you're getting abused or hurt, not only you as the person who is taking, not only does it hurt you that you're taking the punch, they're also taking the punch in a different way. They're also looking at that. They're also living that. I was living with this person for a few years at this apartment, and the abuse escalated. Because once I moved out of my home, my parents' home, now I was living with him alone at this apartment with my children. So nobody knew about nothing that happened in between us. Only myself and my children, but my children were small at the time. There was times where I didn't have food to feed my kids. There was times where it was my children's birthdays and I didn't have money. I always had angels next to me. And that was my father and my oldest sister, who helped me in every way possible. To get through this situation, because I remember clearly living in that place and having really bad thoughts in my mind. Since the abuse was consistent and I was young and I had a lot in my shoulders. I had really bad thoughts on hurting myself and hurting the person that was hurting me.
What would you say, now that you share all this and that you're looking at all the information as you're talking, what would you say has been the cost that not only your younger self had to pay, but that your children had to pay along the way? What would you say now that you look back and see all that information? What would you say that is?
The cost of staying in a toxic relationship for myself has been without even mentioning that it almost cost me my life. By a few seconds, he almost took my life. I am a hard believer in God, and I believe that is the reason why I'm here, and because He has better things for me. But it did cost me 20 years of my life. I was with this person for 20 years. Which were my beautiful teenage years and my younger years. It costed me my dreams. I remember since I was young, I would say I wanted to be like a backup dancer for an artist. I was always good at dancing, singing. I loved music. I wanted to seek a career in college. Not saying that I can do it now, because it's never too late to start a new beginning. But definitely the trauma that has cost me so much pain. To heal from that trauma.
Coco, as a parent, as a mom, it's even painful to ask this question, honestly, if you really think about it. Because I could definitely empathize with you, but as a parent, what is the cost to your children? What did them witnessing this for almost 20 years, right? What did it cost your children? What has it cost your children? Because it doesn't stop. This pain, this trauma doesn't just charge it once and then that's it. No. What is it costing your children right now?
I can't even tell you in words what it has cost my children.
Because how many babies do you have now?
I have 4 boys in total, 2 young adults, and two little boys. Mm-hmm. The 2 little boys, one is 9 and the other one's 5. The 5-year-old is not linked to his father at all. Because I got divorced in 2022. And my 5-year-old was born in 2020. So 2020 to 2022 was the destructive part of my marriage. So he was not in his life at all. But my 9-year-old got to see some of the fights between me and him, where most of the time he was drunk, coming home drunk. And at that time, because I've been through so much, any wrong action from him or any wrong words would just trigger my anger out. And the whole purpose of this episode and the reason why I'm here is not to victimize myself. It's not to tell a story where I almost got killed. The main purpose, the reason why I'm here is because I want to help women and men. Because I know there's also men out there who suffer from domestic violence. Be brave and get up from wherever they're at. Get up and leave the situation. I lived it with one of my family members. I'm not going to say names. Where she's also been in a marriage for almost her whole life. But she decides to, because we when we're not ready to leave, we make excuses, right? I can't because I have 4 kids. What am I gonna do? Mm-hmm. So I rather stay, even though he's hurting me. I'm going to stay. The other excuse is I'd rather stay because we own a house and I'm not going to leave the house to this person. I'd rather stay. There's no excuses when you really want to do it. I can't sit here and tell you, oh, I had the total power and I was brave when I left. No. My heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces when I took the decision of seeking for help. But I only sought for help because I literally saw my life run through my eyes before this person almost took my life. It was for seconds, I would say. A few more seconds.
Can we ask you what happens in those moments? In that moment where he attempts, what goes through your mind in that moment? You don't have to share like details if you don't like to, but what goes through your mind in that moment? If you don't mind sharing who saves your life and a little bit of that.
When this person had me by my neck, telling me in my ear to leave, that it was time for me to leave, I couldn't feel anything at the time. I just felt pressure in my neck, a lot of pressure in my head. I no longer had oxygen. And I remember looking up at the ceiling and just having my kids in my head, like, this is it. This is it. I had no way out. His body had me locked in a position where I couldn't move. I remember gasping for air as he held me tighter and tighter from my neck. And I remember looking around, and I saw a picture of the entire family. And I seen my kids. When I saw the picture, I knew I had to stay to fight. I knew I had to fight back, and I had seconds to do that. I started feeling my head get really hot and a severe pressure in my head. And what I did was I grabbed my hand and put it in his face. It wasn't doing anything, so I wasn't even looking anymore. I think I was getting ready to pass out at the time. So I couldn't move my body at all. So I inserted my 2 fingers into his eyes. And that's when he released me. He moved and I started yelling for help. My children were asleep in their rooms. And when I was screaming in the beginning, my voice wouldn't come out because of how severely he had hurted my neck area. I remember being so scared and panicking. And looking at him get up from where he was at and pulling a knife out, a pocket knife out, to come at me again. And I said, "This is the end of it." I remember yelling my son's name a couple of times. And luckily, one of those times, I was screaming loud enough where he heard me and he came out of the room running. My son was asleep with one of my cousins. So my cousin was big enough to restrain my ex-husband into a lock where he couldn't move, while my son took the knife away from his hand.
Oh my God. Just, yeah. I'm just like playing it in my mind, and I could just feel the fear on, like, me. I could feel the fear, you know? So I can't even imagine. Your son that was there for you, the one you called out, how old is he now? How old was he at the time, and how old is he now?
He is about to turn 19. So he was about 15 and a half.
And he had witnessed a lot of this abuse with you guys, and like he had been familiar. This was familiar to him already.
My 2 older boys were the ones who we dragged into this horrible situation. When we as a person don't want to acknowledge the red flags since the beginning, when you put an excuse for that person who's hurting you. Like I said, you're not only hurting yourself, you're hurting your children. I can't sit here and tell you with words how much I regret not leaving before. Because this person, up to this day, has not changed. And has no regrets for what he has done.
I think that's one of the most painful parts that bring me to tears. It's the regret, because for us as women, somehow, some way, we're so strong that even though we lived through this trauma, we're gonna get through it. I know you are gonna get through it. I know you're gonna heal from it. I know you're on your way there. And I know, even though it's painful, but I know you're gonna get through it. I think the thing that hurts me as a mom, and I know what it does to you too, is what we put our children through, because we just refuse to stand up for ourselves and say no more, you know? Because we continue with the excuses, the lies. We keep wanting to, we want to continue to justify why. And we don't see what we're doing. But what you did is so brave. Even though you say, I wasn't ready, I didn't have the willpower, I didn't even know, I didn't have the strength to leave. In that moment, my heart was shattered, you know. And the only reason why I left was because I saw my life flash before my eyes. And that, I hope you know, is so strong of you to have been able to do, because people, women, have been in that situation so many times, and they're still there. And
sometimes it's not even, you cannot call it love. It's not love. Love doesn't hurt. Love is love. Love will not hurt you. What it is the attachment you have with the person. And so imagine, sometimes you go out with friends, right? And you get so attached to that friend that you want to be with that friend every weekend or every other day. Well, imagine being with a person 20 years, sleeping, eating, everything that comes along with a marriage for 20 years. Being married, having children together.
Creating a whole life.
The attachment is so powerful that when you break it, it's like you're breaking yourself.
I believe it, yeah.
You're breaking yourself. I really, really want to sit here, and this is the whole purpose why I'm here. Like I said since the beginning, I am only doing this to help other people, women and men, to get out of toxic relationships before it's too late. Especially young girls who think, oh, this is love. If he yells at me, if he calls me names, if he puts hands on me, oh, he loves me. It's just, he's showing me he loves me a lot. If they're so if they are so jealous towards you, most of the times is because of their actions. It doesn't even have anything to do with you. It's what they're doing out there that you don't know. So I really, really want to take this time in this episode to knock some sense in this for other people. I'm sharing my story to tell you guys it's never too late. you can stop it now. It stops now. Because the trauma and the pain that you're going to go through, and especially if you have children, what they're going to go through because of this whole situation. I have a 20-year-old. That suffers from this trauma, that asks himself all the time, why did this person that gave me life, that was supposed to be the one to love me and protect me, was the same one that hurted me so much? What a lot of men don't know, or a lot of women don't know, is that if you are the husband and you hurt the mother, you're hurting the children. So the children love both, regardless, the dad and the mom. They don't see our bad sides. They only see, oh, that's mommy and that's daddy, right? We, as adults, have to think before we act, before we speak. If there is one thing I regret, is and I said it to my son, to my 20-year-old, because he said, you're also at fault. And I said, I know I am. And I talked to him several times, thousands of times, since 2022 to now, trying to make him understand that I did hurt my children unintentionally. But it was because what a lot of people think. I wanna save my marriage. I don't wanna get a divorce. He's gonna change.
Yeah. Do you feel that after that incident, after that final incident, was there ever a moment where you thought about going back?
No. After that incident, when he tried to take my life away, I never thought about going back. I couldn't be able to go back with the person that tried to take my life. And I want to tell you one thing, is that I left and I got up to do the right thing too. to seek for help, to get a lawyer. I was the one who sought for divorce. I was the one who called the police that night to seek for help, to get away from this person. It's like if they were covering my eyes before that night. Like I had
blindfolds.
Like if I was blindfolded, but I could see shadows. I knew what was going on. I just didn't want to see reality because it hurt so much. I remember being at the hospital that night. And calling my older sister to tell her what had happened to me. I know it's God. Who kept me here. I remember I had a black coat on, and I reached inside a pocket and I had un rosario. That I still have up to this day. And I was wearing that black coat when this person tried to take my life. Ese rosario estuvo ahí conmigo.
Man, what a story. I mean, I've known you guys so many years already, and I never really knew. I'm never one to ask details or what happened or anything. I'm not one. I always feel like if people want to share with me, they will, but I've never been one to ask. I mean, I knew what had happened, and just listening to you, I feel like feeling you, just being next to you in your presence in this moment, and just watching you, I can't take my eyes off of you because I can totally see it. I know this person as well. I know I personally know him as well, your ex-husband. And so I always had, DB would tell me about situations, and I was always rooting for you, and never ever obviously wanted to get to this moment. Never wanted you guys to see or experience or have to live through this trauma. We can go back now and say that the story is terrible, that it's a horrible story, that we wish it never happened. But all we can do now is, like you say, put your faith in God and know that you're here for a purpose. You have your purpose. I truly 100% believe that you are seeing that now. And even though this day was such a terrifying, horrific moment, that will probably be stay with you for such a long time. I feel like we've always kind of said it, DB, like we've always mentioned sometimes the most ugliest moments or the most terrifying experiences or the most saddest, scariest times of our lives are the most beautiful gifts. And I don't want to say that, but I am saying it because I know that people are probably saying, how could you say that? Like, did you not just hear what you went through? I did hear what I'm totally feeling what you went through. But it was just such a gift because you just said that night, it's like your blindfold came off and you were able to see clearly. You were able to feel the pain. You were able to say, all right, this is it. I'm taking my children and I'm leaving because it's never too late. And now you can repair your relationship with your children. I know that your children know, like you said, it was pain. I was hurting them, but I never meant to hurt them, right? And we've talked about it before. We mention it all the time when we say, if we knew better, we would do better. You can't do better when you couldn't see, And that night, as terrible as it is, as terrifying as it was a gift to you, to your children. Because of that night, you're here with us. You're able to explain your story. You're able to share your story. You're able to empower other people. You're definitely empowering me as a mom, as in, even if I'm not living the things that you're going through, but as a mom, being able to say, I need to make sure that I'm protecting my children at all times and stop giving excuses. Not that I'm like in an abusive relationship or anything has to do with my marriage, but I just feel like in general, sometimes as parents, we don't want to see when we're hurting our children, and we want to kind of, justify some things for why we're doing what we're doing, knowing that deep down inside, it's probably affecting our kids. And so, like I said, that's empowering to me. I think you're extremely brave. I applaud you. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. But not being able to change the past, only learning from it, I think the best thing we can do right now is just see it as a gift. Because you were able to see and get out.
You know what? As bad as it sounds, the only thing that hurts me the most is I dragged my children. I can sit here and tell you that I am not a victim. I'm a survivor. I am stronger than ever. I will never, ever let nobody, it doesn't matter who it is, my mom, my dad, my sisters, my brother, nobody hurt me this way ever again. Especially my children. My children are my heart, my world. They are the reason why I'm here. because in those very hard moments, I can talk about this now because it's been 3 years. Because I'm ready now. Because I'm there. I've been healing the way I had to heal. I had to get away from everything and everyone. That meant no social media for like 2 years. Because after a divorce of so many years and after all this trauma, I was broken, completely broken. I felt my life was over. Little did I know it was just getting started. But you don't see it that way when these type of things happen. Mm-hmm. You see like, my life is over. I did have days where I lost my faith. I didn't believe in anyone. I didn't trust anyone. I didn't want to be alive. I thought about it so many times. That's why I want to encourage men and women to be brave. We are brave. God gave us power, bravery. We all have power inside of us. We're all brave. You just have to look within you. Feel yourself. Hear yourself. I had a lot of black nights, no sleep, where I would sit down and think, why me? What did I do? It takes a lot to understand. It's not you. If you're not the one who's hurting the other person, it's not you. You have to be brave enough to stand up. And it's going to take days, months, years. You're not just going to wake up from one day to another and say, oh, I'm fine. It's over. No. For me, today has been, actually this month, will be 3 years exactly. That I got divorced. But I want to tell you one thing, or multiple, that I gained from this. Respect. I respect myself. I love myself. I value myself. I didn't have none of that when I was with this person. I sure did not respect myself. I did not value myself. And that's why I can sit here and tell you, the past is the past and it's gone. And I can't do nothing about it. But I can sure change my future and the future of my children. And that starts with me. I need to be okay. If I'm not okay, my kids will not be okay. I'm going to be okay so they can be okay. I'm going to respect myself. I'm going to value myself. And they're going to see that. And they've been seeing that since I left. And I left because it was the right thing to do. Because I had to leave and move on. I had to stand up from where I was, wherever I was, and do the right thing for myself and my children. No excuses. Not the house, not the car, not the money we got in the bank, not the marriage, nothing. Not if what my family gonna say, what his family's gonna say. Mm-hmm. You already know. That most of the time, there's gonna be so much negativity, so much evil from the other side of the family. From whoever you're leaving. Mm-hmm. And it happened. His family took his side, even though they know exactly who this person is. And they saw what he's capable of. And they still took his side and stayed right next to him. But it's a pattern. In his family, it's a pattern. It's that's the circle that he's been. It's the pattern. He has the teacher at his house, which was his father. He's seen. I'm not saying that's not an excuse for the person he is, because he did that by choice. That's not an excuse. If that, like, it will not be an excuse for my children to one day get married and be like who their father was. And like I said, I've sat down with my children and I've talked to them how to be a good soul, good men. I said, you want something good in life? It starts with you. You want a good woman next to you? You gotta be a good man. You want respect? You have to respect. There's no give me, give me, give me without you putting in first your part. It's not that way. I really want to sit here and tell men and women, please be brave. Please stop the pattern. Don't listen to anyone. Listen to yourself. Put yourself first. You will know exactly what to do and how to move forward with the situation. Yes, it's going to take a lot for you to heal. You have to give it your all. You have to give it your all, everything. I know that.
Yeah. It's so powerful. I mean, I haven't even been able to talk. I've just been crying the whole time. And thank you for sharing everything you shared. It's truly, truly powerful what you've shared. We heard you, our souls heard you. But your story doesn't end here, right? This is part 1. This is your story. In part 2, we come back and we share a little bit of how she began healing, right? Because part 1 is, well, we went through it. We've experienced what we experienced, but how do we move forward? How do we begin healing? How do we begin forgiving ourselves, forgiving the person that hurt us, so that we don't stay bitter, angry, so that we're not carrying that around, right? Because a lot of the times we leave these relationships, but a lot of the times energetically we still stay there because we have not healed, because we have not been able to move forward, right? And that's a step you've been taking. I've seen it. I've witnessed it myself. And it's why you're here, right? Because the last times I hanged out with you, my soul felt it. I'm like, she's ready. She's there. She's on her journey, right? And yeah, that's just so beautiful. And we thank you so much for sharing your story in part 1. We hope that to our listeners, if you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, know that you're not alone. There are resources out there for you. There is a way out. Always remember that. And if this episode touched a special place to you and you know someone that can benefit from listening to this episode, please share. And I hope that you join us on part 2. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you for joining us, Coco. Thank you for this conversation. It was powerful. And we will see you on part 2.
Thank you for having me. This means a lot to me. Because the main focus here is to help others. This is why I'm doing this. I want other women and men to see there's no impossible. No impossible. There's no limits. That's only in your head. Everything is possible if you focus and you put your mind to it. The best part of this is part number 2. It's the healing part. That's the best part because it's how I got through with all this situation, with all the pain. And the best part is who I am now.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for sure.
You hit it on the dot. Thank you to our listeners. We hope you join us on part 2. And as always, you know where to find us at Unlocking Our Code Podcast. We will see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.